Hi, I'm Carly from Soundside Studios. Welcome back. Today I'm doing a 30-minute reading with one of my clients, and I'm bringing you inside the tarot office with us. Listen to the questions I ask, the answers she gives, and let's see the cards that come up along the way. Let's get started. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm kind of centering right now. It's been a little bit of a busy morning, so I'm just kind of finding where I am.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have a little time to get centered before our reading, so why don't we both take a big breath to center?
Okay.
Is there anything you want us to work on today?
I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about what the next year or so holds, just in a lot of ways in my life, but nothing real specific.
Okay, we can help with that overall. So let's look at a 5-card spread or a 4-card spread of where you are now and what could be a good priority for the short-term future. And then we can look at different aspects of the life you're building for this next year. Okay. Would you prefer to start with a classic deck or a modern style deck?
Let's do the classic.
All right. Just notice this card's upside down. That could be problematic later. All right, so we already took our deep breath. Let's set the mental intention that we may see things as they are and not as we want them to be. You're welcome to divide the deck in two. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to look at where you are now, what you could be less worried about and more focused on. And this is a theme for where you are now. And then lastly, let's look at potentially a theme for the year, something to grow towards. Are you ready?
Yes.
You can turn over your top card. A lesson to learn right now is embracing the sweetness around you. The 6 of Cups features 2 kids, and it can represent our inner children coming out. We have this image in the background of a man with a walking stick. So he's coming home after being gone a long time. So there's this feeling of returning to who you were when you were younger, or being a little bit nostalgic at times, and also connecting to your own kids, which I know you said your son just got out of school this week. And so maybe it's time to let your inner child play more and come out and not ask so much of yourself.
That resonates.
Yeah?
Yeah. Both actually. So I feel like I've done a lot of exploring of just me at another time, me a long time ago, over the past year or two, and just kind of getting to know myself again without all the layers of things that happen in, decades of life. So that's been interesting. And yes, connecting with my son in a different way. So.
Have you been able to play?
I'm not a great player. I probably should be better at that, but I've never been really great at that.
Okay, well maybe this is, however you want to define it, you can. But this card is about being gentle, being in the moment, being in a space that's sweet, letting yourself be joyful, and there's a quality of playfulness. So if that means dancing around your apartment in your underwear, if that means treating yourself to dessert before dinner, whatever it is that would be fun for you, make space for that and know that that's a joyous experience. It's really good for your energy. Okay, what to release and deprioritize.
Okay.
So our card is the Devil. This can mean a few different things. It's really opposite from our 6 of Cups, but what's similar is that they're both about doing what feels good. The big difference is the 6 of Cups has a wholesomeness to it, like a sweetness. And the Devil is more like an indulgence, like a guilty pleasure. And sometimes those guilty pleasures as adults can be very escapist in nature. And so if you've gone through a period where you needed those escapes from reality, or maybe you had a semi-unhealthy habit, but you just knew like you needed it to get through frustration right now or the stress. Maybe now it's time to switch those habits into things that are really nourishing for you, so that you can still give yourself a gift and a treat, but you know it's helping you grow and like take care of you and that inner child. Almost like, you know, mothering yourself, like parenting yourself, that gentleness. So where you could put your focus instead of on the devil card.
Okay.
Big cards here. You have the sun. The sun represents being expansive and being bold. It's about letting, again, that inner child out. And so both of these cards are about tapping into not just your youthful spirit, but really like the inner child that has had to take a back seat and bring her out more. And allow yourself to be bold and expansive and expressive of your true identity. The sun also represents your consciousness, and it's like it's more than just a gut instinct. It's that inspiration when you have an idea and you say, that's what I got to do when the light bulb goes off. Trusting that and listening to those, you know, flashes of divine light and saying, that's what I've got to do. I need to go try that.
Yes, I've been working on that I think that's been my focus for the last year and a half, is really understanding that inner truth and not being afraid to say it. And I think in our last spread, I think the message, the takeaway was speak your truth. So that is aligned well with that too.
Excellent. The authenticity quality is here. What's great is the baby is naked, and the representation is being one's true self, right? Not feeling like you need to mask or hide yourself or fit in, but being able to just be who you are. And a potential theme for the year, where to put the focus for the year.
All upside down today.
Our Nine of Cups represents contentment. Building a space where you feel safe, stable, comfortable, and happy. And the story of this card is that the character was a shop boy who grew up to then become a merchant. So he shows off his wealth and his well-to-do-ness with this feather plume in his hat. However, these cups represent emotional fulfillment, which is priceless. And he wears the very simple robes of a shopkeeper, even though he could afford more. And he's on this handmade bench. So the message here is that you can have all the wealth in the world, but it's up to you how you define it. So choosing to feel that abundance by appreciating what you have and letting it be the simple things that sometimes money can't buy. And so a big theme of this entire spread is simplifying, I think, simplifying your life. Going back to the simple joys and pleasures, letting yourself have fun and enjoy the moments around you, and really trusting your authentic voice as you expand and express yourself right now.
And get rid of crutches that are getting in the way.
Yes, exactly, the devil card. Yeah. They helped you get here, but you've gone through these layers of taking off what you don't need, and it's time to be in a really safe space with yourself and enjoy it.
Okay. That feels good.
Any questions?
So just this is sort of where to focus my attention over the next year.
The center card.
Okay.
Yeah, a theme. And so the way we could interpret that theme, for example, is to say, you don't need to buy like a fancy new car. You know, just appreciate you have a working car that you don't mind if your kid spills a drink in.
Yeah.
Like, that's a peace of mind. You know, just appreciating that you have time to sleep in the morning or something. Like, appreciating those things money can't buy.
Okay.
The peace of mind.
I like that.
Any last questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Where would it be beneficial to focus next?
When you ask that, what does that mean exactly?
So when we look at your year ahead, is there anything that's on your mind? Is something that you're working hard to manifest, a goal that you want to have happen? Is there a challenge that you're figuring your way through, a decision you're trying to make?
I think finding a balance in my relationships and how much I'm taking care of others versus taking care of myself is something that I've really been working on, and how to strike that balance in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And so just in relationships, all kinds of relationships, relationships with family, with friends, with loved ones, just kind of across the board.
Okay. Is there anyone in particular that you're really wanting to focus on? It could be like several people if they come to mind. Or would you rather stay broad and think about the groups?
I think I'd like to stay broad. There's just so many. I don't know that I could pick.
Sure, yep. So we'll make that work. Go ahead and cut the deck in two. And do you mind if we use the modern deck as well?
No.
Okay. Get this shuffled. I was told that the sound of shuffling is really comforting to some people, some of my clients. And when we moved to doing virtual readings, go ahead and cut that, during the lockdown, clients said, I can't hear the shuffle because of the noise canceling that Zoom did. And so they missed that. And it's one of the benefits of an in-person reading. Okay, so we're going to look at how you can take care of yourself and how you can take care of others, and what is the intention or the benefit at the core of that. And then we'll look at each group. So we can talk about family. And are we thinking immediate family, like son, partner, or like extended?
I would also say my parents and siblings, we're all really close. We live together. We have a close-knit unit, and there are a lot of, I feel like there have been a lot of challenges in figuring out kind of how to, I mean, we all love each other, but figuring out how much responsibility to take for people you love can be a challenge.
So we're going to divide this up because your role as mother and co-parent is different than your role as daughter and sister. So we'll get some different advice for each.
Okay.
What other areas?
I would say so other groups of people, you mean? Old friends, and then maybe new friends, new relationships.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, we're set. Are you ready?
I think so.
You can turn over that top card. This card is the Empress. And it's a reminder of your need to show up as a mother for yourself in some ways, because we had all those kids featured in the first spread that we did. And now we have this card about being very nurturing and creating spaces where an individual can grow. And so creating a space where you can be creative, where you can be nourished and really feel like you're your best self, having your needs met. It's really important that you step into that role and protect that space and cultivate it.
And this, will you remind me too, because I remember what these are, but what are these
Position.
two?
The theme and the importance of taking care of yourself, theme and importance of how you're taking care of others.
Okay.
Just to see how the intentions here could be different.
Okay. So mothering yourself, basically.
Yep. And the Empress is about creating a space. And so also making sure that you have, the boundaries that you need around you, that you're feeling protected, that you can be creative, that you can, truly rest. Those are all part of creating that space for you.
It's interesting that you say boundaries. I think I've used that word 100 times in the last week in conversations with people I love, and talking about kind of the journey I've been on, and recognizing that it's okay to have boundaries and to articulate them, and that it doesn't mean you don't love someone, but it means that you have to protect yourself as well. So I find it interesting that you use that word.
And this is the archetype of the mother. And so we think about women's roles in society where typically they're putting other people's needs first, as mothers are taught to. But I think there's a redefining of that role and saying if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of others well. And that's when we think about the fierce compassion that's talked about in Buddhism, where women can lift a car off of their child, right? Like mother bears will kill in order to protect their cubs. So there's times when you need to step in and be protective, to be fierce, and to fight for yourself. It's not always about being gentle and sweet and nurturing. Sometimes you have to be intense.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that will come up more when we're talking about family and friends. So let's look at helping them, supporting them. The intention or theme is our traditional card of judgment, but here it's labeled truth. And maybe it is important to know how you're communicating with them and telling them what you can give and what you can't. Being honest with yourself about the nature of the relationship and identifying what's healthy and what's unhealthy, what needs to change, what's been enabling, what has just been good enough to get by, and maybe now you're ready to truly weigh the scales and decide what's worth your energy and time. I would recommend that you write a list of what you want this next year to feel like for yourself and who you want to be in this next chapter, which could be any number of years of your life. And ask what types of friends are going to help you get there, because we are the people that we surround ourselves with. And that will help you identify who comes into that fertile, creative, nurturing space that you're building for yourself, where you're letting yourself grow in this new phase of being.
I like that.
When's the last time that you did that you kind of culled your list of friends and curated it and asked, who do I want to be around? Whose influence do I want to have in my life?
I don't know that I have ever consciously done that. It's usually a reactive thing. And things just happen. And you know, one of the things that I've noticed this year is some old friends have come back, like a good friend from way back when I was in middle school has come back in my life, and a little bit. I mean, I spent time with her, and I just thought, where have you been for the past? I mean, why didn't I actively nurture this relationship? Because it's really healthy. It feels good, and then other people that just kind of get stuck in your life because you feel obligation or you don't, want to cut ties. So I think I've just kind of let it happen forever, and it's time to be more intentional about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love this. This is good. Okay, we can support you with that in our next spread too. So let's talk about actions for managing these different groups of people.
Okay.
Let's start with your role as mother, co-parent over here.
Okay.
The Ten of Swords represents having a lot of pressure on one's shoulders and just a sense of obligation and a lot of cognitive load. Are you feeling overwhelmed in that space, or are you feeling supported? Like, what's going on over there?
I'm in a very stressful life or time in that space, and it's been interesting. My son is going through a challenging time of life in a lot of ways, and his age is challenging, and hormones are starting to fire, and there's just a lot of pressure, and you feel as a parent like, am I making huge mistakes that are going to affect him forever? So there's been a lot of distress over that, and I think his dad shares that stress and anxiety as well, and then we all feel obligations, especially as women, towards people in our lives, and so there's just a lot of pressure there to get it right, and it's frustrating because you realize when it comes to these kinds of decisions and taking care of those around you that there is no right answer sometimes, and you just have to do something, and you may not know if it was the right thing. There may not be a right thing, and so that's stressful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's never been harder to be a parent, considering the addition of technology and the situation of the environment. I've heard kids are going through things that we didn't go through generations back.
Yeah.
So it's hard to understand what their experience is like, and then it's hard to provide what they need because you're just hoping you get it right. We don't have a roadmap for this.
There's a lot of existential things on their mind in addition to the inner crazy, right? So,
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
And so in that space, do you have enough support?
That's a good question. I think I think that I do. I mean, I have people I can talk to, which I think is half the battle, and that I think understand it. And then I have other people in my life that don't get it, and so that can be stressful as well. You can't really unpack things with with certain people that you can with others. But I do think I have a good support system.
Good.
Yeah.
And having the outlet, someone to talk to, is really important because you can process, you can, having that empathy from other people, they can help you problem solve, they can help validate your feelings. It can just be great to get that out of your head sometimes and share the load. And so if you need to talk to other professionals or get other professional advice, that could also help you. But the Ten of Swords is a indication of the stress and the intellectual and cognitive burden of that space. And so you may also need additional emotional support or cognitive support from other social groups because, if you're putting all the energy towards your son and you and your partner are working on that, then it's just challenging for you guys to also meet your other needs.
Yes.
So speaking of other groups, let's look at family, like your sister's mom.
Oh, I like that chariot.
What comes up for you when you see it?
Independence, adventure.
Ambition is also a strong word with this. I've met your sister. I've met your sisters. No, just your sister. Yeah. And your mom. They seem both like very ambitious and independent people. You share that spirit. Does it feel like everyone's, headstrong or moving in different directions or confident in the path that they're taking?
I feel like the theme in the people around me right now who I love is no one is confident in what the path that they're taking. I mean, everyone's really searching and trying to figure out, trying to do things for the right reasons and not do things just because they've always been done a certain way. And just doing a lot of reflection about decisions and making sure that they're decisions that they're making for good reasons. That's what I sense anyway.
Right now, maybe everyone needs to be going their own way. The chariot is leaving behind the city, and they're moving forward. Ideally, they need to know what they're focusing on. They need to know what they're going after. They may not know how they're going to get there, but they'll find their way if they have the focus. And that's why we have our chariot as a symbol, because the charioteer won't go anywhere if the horses are moving in two different directions. The charioteer must take the reins and direct their attention and the horses in one clear path. And so it's up to each person in the family to decide what are they working towards and how do they want to get there. No one can give them the answers. And maybe this is about taking the stress off your shoulders to guide others when you're actually on your own path. If someone's going this direction, you're over here, you cannot tell them what to anticipate ahead of them. You're not past them. You're in a different spot.
You can't take someone's journey for them, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. And maybe it's just about, touching in and checking in, but not advising and not putting that pressure on yourself.
I like that. That feels good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where does it feel like do you feel like you know what's next for you?
I don't. I mean, I guess in a broad way, I really want to know myself. And that's something that I think we all spend way too little time thinking about, like really knowing yourself, because then I think that tells you what you want for yourself in a way that if you don't know yourself, you're aimless or you're making decisions, doing things that don't actually match or align with who you really are. So I think the theme of where I've been heading in my head is really taking the time to get to know who I am and what I want and where I want to be.
Your sister, your mom, they can't tell you who that is, but your inner child can help with that. They can be your co-pilot. Because who we are around 8 years old is almost our truest version of self, because our personality is formed, but we're not fully impacted by the world around us yet. And so I think back to when you were in elementary school and think of like, what did I want to be when I grew up? What did I love to listen to? What gave me happiness and joy at that stage? Because that's when you can unabashedly enjoy it before you get older and start feeling guilty or obligated or pulled in different directions. And maybe that's a better co-pilot than you asking your family. Also, since they're on their own journeys, I imagine it might be hard to focus on your own if you see them floundering or maybe needing help, it might be distracting. And so you may need to set down some intentional time periods where you are just focused on your own path and you're not looking back at them and wondering how they're doing over there. How often do you talk to them?
All the time. Yeah. I mean, as my parents are getting older, you know, they have challenges, they need support, and I love that, but it's been a challenging year for everybody, I think.
Yeah. Time management is really hard when you have parents that need your help and support.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm grateful that I have, you know, my sister is here and helps with some of that as well. But it can be a lot.
Yeah, undoubtedly. If you can communicate, you know, times where your sister is able to go take care of them and she is the on-call person, and you can communicate to family that you need a weekend without being talked to, or a Saturday morning or something, that can just give you that time and space to focus on, you know, maybe that list of friends that you want to cultivate, or a list of goals for what you want to do this year. Just like it can give you that little chunk of time to be fully focused on you and unitask rather than multitask and have your attention pulled in different directions.
Okay.
So let's look at working with old friends.
The sun again.
And, you know, when you first said old friends, I was thinking friends that you've known for a while that have just comfortably been in your life. But you also mentioned the friend from, was it middle school? You know, that's come back into your life. And that's, again, tapping back to that inner child. So having the sun come up, maybe look back at who were the friends that you had years ago. Maybe it's time to reinvigorate those relationships and just see what those connections are like and if they wake you up.
That's true. I like this. The sun.
And maybe that's the standard. If your friends have been around for a long time, do they really know who you are? Do they really help you express and be your best and brightest self?
And I think there's both kinds. You know, there's the ones that have been in your life forever that maybe aren't helping you express your best self, and then maybe ones that need to be rediscovered, or you know, it's kind of both things, and shining the light on that.
Yeah. And you have a new criteria for who gets to stay or who you invest energy into. Let's look at bringing in new friends. The Six of Pentacles is about letting there be a give and take in a relationship. And in this case, there's an exchange happening. And since you already have so many draws on your attention and your time and your energy, you may not have a lot to give. And so it's really important that someone meets you halfway. So as you meet new people, let yourself slowly develop the relationship and make sure that they're willing to put in as much as you are so that it doesn't feel like you're getting exhausted from that relationship. You just don't have the currency right now.
Yeah.
Are you actively seeking new friends?
No, I'm
Great.
not.
Okay. I don't think you need to. This is not an exciting card.
Yeah.
It's like gotta stay in balance.
I think I feel like I have plenty. It's just, you know, but you're constantly being exposed to new people. And, you know, it's funny that the group that you read for us a few weeks ago, I consider them in some ways new friends because they were friends that I made as an adult, which is interesting. But I mean, we've been friends now for over 10 years. But in my head, that's the new friend.
Yeah. Sometimes, too, as adults, it takes a while to get close to one another because you don't have as much time as you did when you were kids.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend, when it comes to relationships, really cull the list this year. Clarify who do you want to spend more time with and invest in those relationships, especially the older friendships. There's going to be great gems. Whether they're people that you haven't touched base with in a while or friends that have been with you for a decade or more and you've realized you just want to get more time with them. And so simplify that list down and decide who you want to be with this year and next year.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think that will be one of the best sources of energy and support as you deal with your role as a mother and as a sister and a daughter, because so much is being asked of you there. So lean into those friendships. And I'd put that as a priority.
I really like this. I love, it's a beautiful card.
Do you have any questions about what it means, or like the spread overall, or any thoughts on the individual cards?
No, I think what's interesting is just the visuals are so striking on everything, and really seem to capture, I think, the essence of kind of how I feel about some of these relationships. So no, I don't think I have questions. I just there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, there is. And if you're feeling any resistance to the idea of, releasing certain friends, sit with that and investigate it. Find out, why are you feeling tied to them? Why are you feeling obligated? Where is that attachment coming from? And as you start to clear those attachments and release people, you don't have to send a text that says we're done being friends, but you can just choose to not invite them to things, or like just choose to not worry about them or what they think of you. And slowly just let those relationships move a little farther out of the social stratosphere. You'll be more free. You'll feel more open. You can be yourself more. All right, I'm going to pick these up. For our last spread, unless there's something else you want to work on, how would you feel about identifying traits that are important to you in friendship this year?
Okay, I like that.
So we'll take that sun card with those friendships you already have established, and we'll look at how to measure a friend you want to keep in your life.
Okay.
Do you want to work with the classic or modern deck?
Let's do the modern.
Okay. All right, so we're going to do a little mixture here.
So these are traits that I want to see more of or have more of in my life.
Yep, exactly. Okay, go ahead and cut both decks. Cute. So we're going to look at, technically our table has space for 3, but we're going to do 4. 4 traits or attributes to look for in friendship that will be beneficial to you to be around this year. And then we're going to pair that, I guess we'll do it this way, with 4 ways that each may manifest in action or behavior or personality.
Okay.
So I'll rearrange these. This will make more sense. Okay, let's start here.
Okay, so this is the trait.
Our first one, the magician, is awareness, being a problem solver, being an innovator, being open-minded, seeing possibilities everywhere, and feeling a connection to something bigger than themselves. Let's look at how that might manifest. The Knight of Wands is about having a fiery energy that is just out there. They're ready to get in the spotlight. They're ready to try things. They're ready to take risks. They might embarrass themselves in public, but they don't care. They're ready to go big or go home. They're out there pushing their comfort zones.
Wow.
So people that are doing daring things because they're seeing a bigger picture and they trust they can problem solve and they're going to figure it out as they go.
Okay.
And they're excited for that.
I don't have a lot of that in my life, so that's interesting.
That will help with the Chariot energy to help inspire you and see people taking bigger risks or getting out there, and you'll be warmed up by their energy. Number 2, the Wheel of Fortune. It's labeled as destiny, but that represents the willingness to go with the flow and recognize they can't control everything. And with that comes an aspect of peace, because they can hold space and they can breathe through the uncomfortable moments, and they're just there and, taking one step at a time, not trying to control everything or overplan. So there's a bit of ease here, because someone says...
And I need more of that in my life. I know that. That's something that I've always, or at least not always, as we were talking about going back to your inner child and remembering what you were like, kind of your true self, it was very different than, it was very spontaneous. I liked to be impulsive to do things on a whim, and over time I became very structured and tried to have a plan for everything, and I don't think it really is who I am, and I need to give up some of that anyway. So,
Yes,
yeah.
and that goes back to this one too with that improvisation, the whole like, let's just go do this thing, let's go try this thing, without planning how to make it perfect and great. So let's look at, what were you going to say?
No, I said, I was just agreeing.
Let's check out how that can manifest in behavior. The Emperor is about discipline, structure, and authority. And so I love this balance because it's somebody that knows what they can control and knows what they cannot. And they don't get those two things confused. They know where they need to have the ease, and they know where they need to invest their effort. They're not easygoing and just, checked out all day and saying, I hope things work out. They say, I know I can make this work out, and I hope these other factors fall into place, but I can't control them. So, factor number 3. Strength. It says power, but it's our traditional strength card. And you'll notice that it's a lion paired with a man's face. So it represents this balance of having, your inner animal, your desire to succeed, to fight for yourself, to survive sometimes, paired with the upper traits, the upper chakras, as well as wisdom, that higher connection, the ability to communicate, the ability to foresee things and plan ahead. And all of that coming together at the heart chakra, which is how we express ourselves in the world with love and compassion and consistency and a pace that's steady. It's like we don't change the world overnight. We show up every day, we invest our effort, and we know it's going to pay off over time.
Okay. And so is this sort of like the balance between the head and the gut, or not really?
Kind of. It was explained to me many years ago as being the fight you have to survive, and that inner animal paired with who you are now as a knowledgeable adult, and having that come together. So you have this ferocity and this will, but it's channeled in a way that's tempered and measured and consistent. So it's not like a sudden explosion, but it's this, confidence and consistency.
Okay.
And an endurance even. So people who know they can make a difference, and that it takes time for that to pay off. They don't quit after a week of trying something new.
Okay.
How that can manifest. Here's our 9 of Cups, which you also had in the first spread about a theme for the year, which is choosing to enjoy the things you have, choosing to see abundance and being content. I think that power card is about having the endurance to get through, dry spells or challenging moments, challenging times, and not quitting just because it gets tough. But also not hurting yourself in order to get to the other side, just staying consistent, staying focused, and enjoying the simple things, not needing a big payoff for you to feel like what you're doing is worth it.
Okay. Interesting. I've gotten a couple of duplicates today.
Yeah. 4th trait, people that have other social networks, they have their own support networks. The benefit, of course, is that they don't become needy and dependent on you, but that they know we survive by having community, and we are all able to help each other out when we need it.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Learning that you can't be everything to anyone,
Yep.
Everybody has to have their different networks of support.
And the other benefit is if you have, let's just use your friend from middle school as an example. If you and her have so much in common and you're great friends, and she can introduce you to more people that also you have these things in common with, and they connect to you, that helps you find people that are vetted, that trust you. You already have this bigger world as a result of that friend. So let them introduce you and connect you to their network. How that can manifest. Again, this is a second time you've gotten this card. It's Judgment. It's about knowing who you want to be, having an epiphany, and really starting a fresh life. Recognizing what you're leaving behind and what is going to be the theme and the important part of this next year ahead. Not just the year, but the chapter. And finding people that share that understanding and those new values.
I love that I got that card twice because I said that. I mean, that's been kind of the theme of the last year and a half is figuring that out.
And you've done a lot of it for yourself. It sounds like now it's time to think about the influences around you and the people, because they're definitely influencing you, but they're also able to support you and help you.